It begins quietly. Too quietly to notice. No breaking news. No emergency alerts. No sudden collapse shaking the world. Just an ordinary moment. You wake up, reach for your phone. Open your banking app. The numbers are there. Everything looks normal. Stable. Predictable. Safe. And yet, something feels wrong. Not visibly. Not logically, but intuitively. Because the most powerful systems in history don't collapse in chaos. They dissolve in silence. For decades, the entire global economy has been built on one invisible foundation: the US dollar, not just as a currency, but as the bloodstream of the modern world. Every country, every central bank, every major transaction connected to it. Oil, priced in dollars. Global trade, settled in dollars. Reserves, held in dollars. It is not just money. It is infrastructure. But here's the question no one asks. What happens when the foundation doesn't break, but slowly becomes unnecessary? Because the modern financial system is not backed by gold, not backed by physical assets. It is backed by belief. Confidence. Agreement. The dollar has value because the world collectively agrees that it does. After the Bretton Woods Agreement, the system was simple. The dollar was tied to gold. Other currencies were tied to the dollar. Everything was anchored. Stable. Predictable. Until 1971. When that anchor was cut. In that moment, something profound changed. Money was no longer tied to anything physical. It became abstract. Flexible. Expandable. And dangerously dependent on trust. Because today, money is not printed first. It is created through debt. When a bank issues a loan, it doesn't transfer existing money. It creates new money out of nothing. Digitally. Instantly. Imagine a system where every time someone borrows, the total amount of money in existence increases, but the value of goods doesn't increase at the same rate. That imbalance is inflation. Inflation is not just rising prices. It is the quiet shrinking of your purchasing power. The same money buying less. Year after year, without permission, without announcement. It is a silent transfer of wealth from those who hold cash to those who hold assets. And as long as people trust the system, as long as they believe the numbers in their bank accounts mean something, the system works. Perfectly. Smoothly. Effortlessly. But every system built on trust has a breaking point. And sometimes, that breaking point doesn't look like a crash. It looks like a shift. After World War II, the United States held most of the world's gold. It became the center of global finance. But the real power move came later. Oil. Through strategic geopolitical agreements. Oil, the most important resource in the modern world, was priced exclusively in dollars. This created something extraordinary: the Petro-Dollar system. Now, every country on earth needed dollars just to function. To import energy. To sustain their economies. To survive. So they accumulated dollars. Held reserves, traded in dollars, reinforced the system without question. But here's the truth: this system was not natural. It was designed. Engineered. Maintained. And anything engineered can be redesigned. Then came 2008, the 2008 financial crisis, a moment that should have broken everything. Banks collapsed, markets froze. Trust disappeared. And yet, the system didn't fall, because something else happened. Intervention. Governments stepped in, central banks activated, liquidity was injected into the system at an unprecedented scale. Interest rates dropped to near zero. Money was created, not from growth. Not from productivity, but from necessity. And this revealed something uncomfortable: the system does not survive on strength. It survives on support. It can be stabilized, extended, maintained, but at a cost. Because every intervention creates a precedent, and every precedent changes the rules. While this was happening, something else was forming. Quietly. Strategically. Deliberately. BRCS. Not just an alliance, but an alternative. A coalition of nations representing massive populations, vast natural resources, growing economic power. Their objective isn't to destroy the system. That would create chaos. Their objective is far more calculated: to stop depending on it. Trading in local currencies, building independent payment systems, increasing gold reserves, creating parallel financial infrastructure. not replacing the system, but bypassing it. And this is where things become critical, because the power of a currency does not come from force. It comes from demand. The more the world needs a currency, the stronger it becomes. But when that need begins to decline, even slowly, even subtly, power begins to shift. This is de-dollarization, not a sudden collapse, but a gradual erosion, a slow redistribution of financial gravity. And what makes it dangerous is that it feels normal. Because when systems feel uncertain, behavior changes, people adapt, governments adjust, priorities shift. During instability, control becomes easier, not through force, but through uncertainty. Privacy becomes negotiable, freedom becomes secondary, because stability becomes the priority. And in financial systems, control follows fear. Now imagine a world with no single center of power, not one dominant currency, but a multipolar financial system, different currencies, different systems. Different alliances, digital currencies. Regional trade blocks. Parallel infrastructures, a world that is more flexible, but far more complex. And in that complexity, risk and opportunity rise together, because the shift is already happening. Right now. Quietly. Gradually. The US-dollar is not collapsing. It is weakening at the edges, through trade. Through reserves, through alternatives. And the biggest mistake you can make is waiting for clarity, because by the time it becomes obvious, it's already too late. The real risk is not collapse. It is dependence, because if inflation continues to erode value and systems continue to fragment, then staying in one structure becomes exposure, not strategy. Adaptation doesn't require panic. It requires awareness. Understanding the shift before it becomes visible, positioning before it becomes necessary. Because in finance, timing is everything. And in the end, there will be no announcement. No global realization. No defining moment, because by the time people notice, the transition is already complete. The US dollar will still exist, still move, still matter, but not like before. And BRICS won't need to replace it. Only reduce its importance. Because systems don't end when they collapse, they end when they are no longer needed. And when that moment arrives, it won't feel like the end of an empire. It will feel like just another day. Markets will open, people will work, money will move, but underneath, the system will be different. And the most unsettling truth, most people will only understand it in hindsight.